canceled. It's a race war. Why am I acting like Trump's a necromancer here? A Mars bar is just a beta Snickers. Change my mind. Give me diabetes, daddy. Daywalker here. This reaction will be to the Halloween episode, or one of the Halloween episodes of The Real Ghostbusters. Also, if you like Halloween stuff, we have 2 Halloween streams this past week. So go check those out under the Daywalker podcast playlist. I'll probably link it somewhere. But yeah, let's get into it. Why is it The Real Ghostbusters? They did that with my favorite show when I was a kid, which was The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I'm like, why don't you just call it like The New Adventures of Johnny Quest? The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, or The Real Ghostbusters feels a little passive-aggressive. I think I remember there was another Ghostbusters series, but it had like none of the original characters in it. It was, I think there was a gorilla. The 80s were a different time, man. Everyone was all coked up, even the animators. Especially the animators.
So what are you doing for Halloween, Peter?
I'm taking Lynn Stacy to a party at Donald Trump's place.
I know this was the 80s, way before Trump became president, but it's just kind of funny to think like back then he was just a, I don't know, businessman. I was about to say money guy. I guess he was a money guy too. Now he's the guy that your aunt thinks is going to be resurrected with JFK. Not that Trump was dead, but JFK was. No, JFK Jr. Yeah, you don't really come back from getting your head blown off, so it's probably a little harder to reanimate JFK. Why am I acting like Trump's a necromancer here? As if he's the one who's going to be like reanimated. I mean, I guess maybe he is. I haven't really followed all the Q stuff, but I thought that was one of the more interesting theories. What are there rules? Is it like you can only bring somebody back from the dead who's like fully intact? Is that why the Catholic Church was all very much like, don't be an organ donor. It's like you got to keep your whole body intact for when you're resurrected. I guess they had necromancy in mind. But like, so if I get vaporized, no chance of necromancy. There's already magic, like literally a miracle happening to bring like a normal person back to life. So it doesn't seem like it'd be that much further of a stretch to, reanimate a pile of dust into a person. But for some reason, my brain's just like, I don't know. That seems like you're pushing it. Necromancy has its limits, guys.
A quintuple billionaire?
I didn't even know why I was talking about necromancy. And I just remembered it was literally because he said he was going to Trump Tower. How did I get to... Okay. I got to necromancy.
Well, we're all going trick-or-treating. We thought maybe you'd like to come along. Even Slimer's going.
I mean, most people dress up as ghosts for Halloween, right? So what's Slimer going as?
He says it's something really scary.
Wait, so Slimer is now just hanging out there with the Ghostbusters. But they literally, like, bust his kind. Is this not a little bit like, like an Uncle Tom of the ghost world? Like he's hanging out with his oppressors or something? Although my dad actually tells me that Uncle Tom was the hero of Uncle Tom's Porch Cabin. It was like a pro-abolitionist book, and it was trying to advocate to end slavery, and it was showing the horrors of it. And Uncle Tom, I guess, sacrificed himself to save the other slaves or something at some point. They should make Uncle Tom into like the next phase of the MCU. Since diversity is such a big push. And he could be like, with your powers combined, I am Uncle Tom. And then he's just really nice to white people. A ghost hanging out with a bunch of people who literally bust his kind feels kind of like, they look at him like, oh, well, you're one of the good ones. You're one of the good ghosts. We'll tolerate you. You're not like those other ghosts. My dad had a couple friends who were like borderline racist. Like, I don't usually throw that term around, but they were the kind who'd be like, oh, well, your kind is not used to blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, well, white people don't dare walk around these parts, or stuff like that. Because of the community. The tenants, the coloreds. I'm talking about the coloreds. My dad's very prim and proper, and he's very much like, hello, nice to meet you. Yes, I'm Mr. Miller. Some of his like quasi-racist friends would always be like, Ron, you're not like the other ones. You're one of the good ones. You give me hope for your kind. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be friends with people who are like evaluating my every move as like the rubric by which they're going to grade all the other people that like share my ancestry. It's a lot of pressure, man. Just let me be me. I don't speak for anybody else but me. Leave me alone.
Slimer?
Yes, boss?
Don't move.
That might be a hate crime. Like if ghosts are an oppressed, persecuted class in this world, he just assaulted one. And he's wearing Ghostface. He's wearing Slimer as a costume. You appropriated our culture. They're like, this is not a joke. We died. we suffered to get this ghost status. You just bought a costume at Party City. I just want to point out how problematic this scene is. Continue.
I'm Lynn Stacy. I'm supposed to meet Peter here.
Where the white women at? It's gonna be every black guy's downfall. Pretty white lady.
You, babe!
Hi, Petey. I'm not that kind of girl. Creep!
What did I say? What did I do? Wait! I love you!
Why, we've hardly met.
No, I was, oh, boy. Never mind. Come on in.
Is he in a Halloween costume? Or, like, what's the forehead? The 17 head.
This isn't... You didn't... You couldn't, Slimer. You're dead.
I mean, accurate.
Oh, good observation, Peter.
No, yeah.
You know, there are times I think life is one big bullet with my name on it.
I know he's doing, like, a Bill Murray kind of impression with that accent or way of speaking that Murray has. First thought that came to my head, though, when I keep, like, hearing his voice is that he sounds kind of like if you took Bill Murray out and, like, left him to thaw too long on the counter. He's not bad. He's just, who is this? Let's see. Oh, Dave Coulier is, oops, Arsenio Hall? Damn. Oh, it looks like he did it first. Lorenzo Music did it first, and then Dave Coulier. How do I get out of here? I'm trapped. So I looked it up, and it seems like Lorenzo Music was the voice of Venkman for the first couple seasons, and then Bill Murray was like, yo, I don't like this guy. I don't think he sounds like me. And then he suggested his friend Dave Coulier to do it, which is funny because Bill Murray had the voice of Lorenzo Music, or the voice of him, replaced, and Lorenzo Music was also the voice of Garfield, which everybody thought was Bill Murray. So when the Garfield movie came around years later, Bill Murray did the voice of Garfield, which was originally voiced by Lorenzo Music. That might not be as much of a, like, conspiracy or, like, a wacky coincidence as I think it is. It's just, like, a weird... I don't know, man. Put my tinfoil hat on. This is all by design. They planned this out since the 80s.
You
Want us to do what?
Simple. I want you to help me get rid of Halloween.
Surely you don't like monsters and ghosts and such?
No, absolutely.
This is a shameless plug, but I did have a web series back in the day called Ghosts and Stuff, which you can find on YouTube.
Gross. Nope.
We don't like ghosts at all. Well, not as a general rule, but that's...
That's what I'm saying. He's like, oh, you're one of the good ones. You people.
What do you mean, you people?
Ghosts might be charming, lovely people, or dead ex-people, but he's just making assumptions. Like, they're just busting them without asking questions. You know, it makes me wonder if they're really the heroes of these stories. They should do a Ghostbusters well, not a reboot, but just like a Ghostbusters, like, alternate universe thing where they show the entire story of the first, like, 2 movies, but through the perspective of the ghosts, and how the Ghostbusters are actually, like, serial killers in their perspective, and the ghosts are just, like, hiding in the corner, just like, be quiet, they're coming, oh, I love you, whatever happens, I love you, and they're like reaching out to their ghost child, and they're just like, don't look, okay, just, think of happy times. Think of, that time where we scared that couple, or the time where, you remember when we made the blood run down the walls? Just think of the happy times before. And then, like, she gets busted in front of her child's eyes, and then the ghost is traumatized, like the kid ghost, and then he grows up to become the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and destroy New York. So it was deserved.
We all like Halloween. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with kids dressing up as ghosts and monsters and demons, letting their imaginations run rampant. Nothing wrong with that, I ask you.
He feels like somebody or one of the many parents at my church in the 90s, like when I was a kid. They were always so like, this is satanic, that's satanic. Halloween, it's the devil. So you couldn't do Halloween, you had to do trunk or treating, which was like the Christian version. And it was, they took all the fun out of Halloween, basically. And put the Jesus in it. There was still candy, though, so that's all right. And you avoided eternal damnation, so... But yeah, I remember back in the day, everything was the devil. Everything was the devil. They were like, oh, The Simpsons? That was made by Satan. Halloween? Satan. Harry Potter?
Could it be Satan?
Which is funny, because now the opposite side is obsessed with canceling Harry Potter. So, you know, at least that's one thing the old school right and the modern left can agree on. So he's boycotting this or boycotting that or moral outrage about this or that. And now you have like that generation's kids being the annoying, insufferable idiots who are like trying to ruin the fun for everybody. But this time, their Satan is like the ists and phobes. It's like racism, or you gotta check under your bed for misogyny, the patriarchy. Gotta light a candle to scare away the transphobes.
Could it be
white privilege?
I am the chairman of Citizens United Against Halloween and lots of other stuff we don't like.
Well, not...
That's pretty good. It looked like it was like early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. I just love that it shows you how humans don't change. We think cancel culture's new. We think, you know, moral outrage and panic are new. But no. Human's gonna human. It just, the pendulum swings as to who's doing it, but it's always there.
Well, what's all this other stuff you're against?
All comics, most television, toys, many books, but mostly Halloween.
Magic. Mystery. They're important.
So, I guess that's Egon, because Ray and everybody else are there. Why is he blonde, though? Like, everybody else kind of looks like them. Well, I guess Ray's hair is red when it's not. Was it just that they didn't like having too many dark-haired people? Because, like, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis were all dark-haired. It's a little questionable that they turn, like, the Jewish guy into the Aryan Brotherhood over here. Although I'm also, like, weirdly into it. Not the rat tail, per se, but, like, you can tell Egon here is definitely into the new wave stuff. He feels, like, emotionally unavailable in a way that 20-year-old me would have been very, very drawn to before she got some therapy.
According to legend...
Forgot to mention, we're against legends, too. Also books about legends. They're not healthy.
This writing's pretty good. It's funny.
Hey!
No, Mr. Crowley, eating too many candy bars isn't good for you either.
What was that look about? He like turned around and gave Slimer the most, like the bitchiest side eye. Although I'm wondering if he was actually responding to the comment where they're like, too many candy bars aren't good for you. And he's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I was just over here living my life. Why do you gotta, like, come for me like that? I like reading the different euphemisms people have for fat. I guess they were debuting the art for some anime character, and she's fat. And somebody's like, oh my god, yes, I'm so excited. Like, body positive representation. It's so nice to see a friend-sized person there. And my friend was like, what the fuck are you talking about? If anybody called me friend-sized, I'd unalive myself. I'm gonna use that from now on. He's friend-sized. It's like when you have candy that's fun-sized, but more diabetes.
Get away!
For the record, interpret this as a no!
Halloween. What did it ever do for us?
Show me where on the doll Halloween hurt you. Like... This reads very much like a Footloose situation where he actually used to love Halloween, but then one Halloween, his mom got hit by, a roll of toilet paper when kids were TPing the house, and then she fell off a ladder and broke her neck or something. So maybe by the end we'll have a like sweet redemption story where he realizes the love of Halloween again, and everyone will sing Kumbaya and the Monster Mash or whatever. I don't know, Halloween version.
Well, I'll show them.
Yes, Dr. Crowley.
We have my machine.
Somebody's got to clean that up. Like, I know you were trying to make a point, but it was neatly placed on the trash can. I don't know why. It was a perfectly nice jack-o'-lantern. Like, leave it on your doorstep. It's Halloween tonight, so it's not like Halloween's over. So why would you go through the trouble of carving a real nice jack-o'-lantern just to put it on top of a trash can? And an asshole like this, who's got a forehead looking like a loaf of bread, comes along and just smashes it. And the sanitation workers were like, man, I was really hoping to go home early, but some asshole decided to smash a jack-o'-lantern on the sidewalk, and now I gotta scrub that up. So I'm gonna be late, and now my kids are not going to have their dad to take them trick-or-treating. And then my wife's going to be like, this is the last time. He has not shown up for his promises so many times, so this was the last straw. So she takes the kids. She leaves them, or leaves him. And then now he hates Halloween. And then these guys join forces, but the sanitation worker doesn't know that this guy was actually the cause of all of his problems. You don't find that out until like the end of the second act in the movie that I'm imagining in my head now. And then they have like a really epic duel at the end. A duel doesn't sound epic. A really epic like battle or whatever. I don't know. Give me a call, Hollywood. Got a lot of ideas. Stupid ones, but I got a lot of them. Quantity, not quality. I mean, that's YouTube's philosophy. Philosophy. I was trying to be all cool. I can't speak. Philosophy.
It's all ready.
Yes, Dr. Crowley.
That's right. We needed their PKE meter to help focus the machine, didn't we?
Don't worry. While they were talking to you, no one noticed me pick up this.
Really? That's pretty big. It's not just like, you know, when you're at Claire's and you're just putting, I don't know, a pair of earrings in your jacket. Not that I did that. I was too much of a goody two-shoes. I can't speak today! Which is funny, because now I'm going through my rebellious phase, like in my 30s, where I'm finally like not caring what people think and I'm breaking rules and stuff. I'm just like... But back then, oh my gosh, I was like, well, what if Jesus sees us? I don't care about the security cameras. I care about my eternal soul. That would be funny if like somebody lived a perfectly good life. You know, maybe they adopted some Namibian orphans or something, and they volunteered, they gave to charity, everything like that. They get to the pearly gates, and St. Paul's like, or St. Peter, whoever's there, I'm not Catholic, I don't know who the saints are, but he's standing there like, hey, yeah. Unfortunately, when you were 12, you shoplifted some earrings from Claire's, so nice try, but he just like pushes a button and then a trapdoor opens up and she falls straight to hell. Little boy, you're going to hell! With all the other preteen shoplifters. Small children in China worked very hard to make those tacky earrings made out of cubic zirconia, all right? And you're just stealing them. You are invalidating the labor of slave children. Are you happy, Susie? Susie didn't really sound like a modern day preteen's name. I don't know, something with an E-I-G-H. Brayley? Yeah. You happy, Brayley? Little Juan Po's not going to eat tonight. Just kidding. Juan Po wasn't going to eat tonight anyway. You think that employer actually can, like, feed their staff? Come on. That's why they eat their pets.
You stole this, didn't you?
Yes, Dr. Crowley.
Stealing isn't good.
See? He knows the deal. He would never shoplift from Claire's. Unlike Brayley.
Crowley.
Stealing isn't good, but we need it. So much for that moral dilemma.
I appreciate that whoever wrote this really knows the same kind of hypocrites I'm talking about. I have morals, but I am 100% willing to adjust them when it doesn't apply to the situation at hand. They change depending on which side is actually saying that thing, and also if it's not convenient to my narrative, or if I just don't feel like it, or also if it's like a day that ends in Y, then I don't have to apply those morals across the board. This is a little bit of soapbox, but like, if your values do not apply equally to your allies as they do to your enemies, or if they can vary in that way where you're like, hey, I value truth, except, you know, if my guy does it, you know, and you try to rationalize their stuff away. Nah, if you have a value, it should apply to everyone equally. And if it doesn't, you don't have a value. You're just a tribal idiot. Rant over. You're probably not the only one for this video.
Trick or treat! In your face.
That kid's also going to grow up to hate Halloween. He's going to join the garbage collector, and together they're going to take down Bread Loaf. I need to come up with a better name for him. I'll think about it. I guess it's like Bread Loaf is like the glutenier, the more gluteny cousin of Meatloaf. Meatloaf is the keto version of Bread Loaf, so they're related. You're welcome.
Hands up. Who thinks of trick or treat when you think of Halloween? All right. How many of you know where that comes from? Egon?
2,000 years ago, October 31st was the end of the old year, and the ancient Celtic priests, called Druids, held a celebration.
Oh, they're going to give them like the real history of Halloween. This is cool. There's like a light show and everything.
It was the birth of the festival we now call Halloween. It was
a party!
These kids' minds are blown. Like, at first they thought it was cool, and now you can tell they're very uncomfortable. They're like, what happened to our stage? Where are we? Am I tripping? Why would I know what tripping is? I'm like 12. Listen, I had to grow up early. You don't know what my childhood was like. Especially that cowboy. He's seen things.
When the sun goes down and the night grows cold.
I'm sorry. Is this a musical episode? Is it both a Halloween episode and a musical episode? Because those are two of my favorite things. Oh, I'm so happy right now.
Running through the nation, dancing and rocking on Halloween.
I don't have epilepsy, but even that made me kind of want to, like, check out for a sec. And by check out, I mean have a seizure and die. Not dramatic or anything.
Can you feel the magic moving? Thunder in the streets, wonder in the...
Okay, so now the cowboy's doing better. I can't tell about the mummy because his face was covered the whole time, but Ballerina here is not all right. Someone needs to check on her. Maybe she's just uncomfortable because she knows her parents are going to get mad at her because, like, she's the, like, Jehovah's Witness kid. No, if she was a Jehovah's Witness kid, she wouldn't even be allowed to dress up. She wouldn't be able to celebrate holidays. I don't know. She's the very sheltered kid who maybe was homeschooled up until this year, so she's still kind of scared of people and social interaction and being normal. Most of my homeschooled friends are super cool, but they are all a little bit off. In the best way. That's why they're my friends. Also, Piglet back there. Maybe that's why she's freaking out. See that serial killer pig behind her? They're like, he doesn't even go here. And then once he's revealed, he starts just murdering all the children. And the Ghostbusters are there, but they can't do anything because their job is to bust ghosts. They don't know how to bust people. Their little proton packs aren't going to really work on a flesh and blood person. I mean, they might. Isn't it like nuclear energy? You could probably just nuke them. Y'all can fill me in on the science of that. Nerds! No, she's not into this. She's like, please, why? Why me of all people? Everybody else here's having a good time. I'm not. I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown. Please just let go of my arm, weird, creepy ghost.
Touching old magic.
Oh, well, now she's feeling okay. Maybe that's all her problem was. She just wanted to feel the power of dance and be reminded of the joy she once felt. And Slimer helped her see that. And then they run off together into the sunset. And then they're incinerated because the sun is like millions of degrees. And on principle, you probably shouldn't walk into it.
Touching old magic. We call it Halloween.
Are they saying touching old magic? That sounds like a game my uncle and I used to play. You guys are never going to know if I'm kidding or not.
Let the magic shine inside you. Let the darkness have no.
Winston is feeling it. Winston is talented. I feel like Winston didn't get enough love in the original. Like, he kind of... So apparently he was originally written for Eddie Murphy, and it was going to be like 3 Ghostbusters, and it was going to be like Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, and I think Harold Ramis was the third, or maybe Bill Murray. I can't remember like who the original trio was going to be, but it was going to be Eddie Murphy, and so the part was much bigger and much funnier, had more personality, and then Eddie didn't want to do it, and then they brought Bill on, or something like that, whatever the order is, and then they brought Ernie Hudson, was it? They brought him on, but they made his part a lot smaller because he kind of was a nobody at that point, which sucks for him because, you know, he came on being like, oh, this is going to be a big role. And then they just kept slashing his pages. And they kind of just made him the boring, like, stick in the mud. So I at least appreciate here that Winston gets to have his moment to shine. Was Slimer always missing that tooth? If he's a ghost, wouldn't all his teeth be ghost teeth so he doesn't have to worry about losing them? Ghost gingivitis. Even after death, you still have to floss. That sounds like hell. Hell is full of preteen shoplifters and people just stuck flossing for all eternity because they didn't do it enough in their living world, in their real life. I don't know, whatever. While they were alive.
Touching old magic.
Told you. They were developing this whole, like, love story and they're going to run into the sunset together. Is it illegal? Because she's a student, right? So she's clearly underage, but he's He's technically older than her because he's probably been, dead for a long time. But do the laws still apply if you're dead? Like if you're a, 200-year-old vampire or an old Victorian ghost, are you bound by the laws of mortal men? Or can you just go around being a degenerate and no one can stop you? Maybe that's why Breadloaf hates Halloween, because he knows what they're up to. He knows that ghosts are really just groomers. Just groomers, the lot of them. That was their unfinished business.
Right to jail, right away.
Talking too much about diddling this episode. Hey, you want to come over here and touch old magic?
I hate Halloween.
Yeah, we get it.
Children are putting on their fright masks, getting ready to go trick-or-treating. Well, not tonight. Tonight.
Not today, Satan.
Give me my electronic positronic anti-Halloween machine.
Everything's ready, Dr. Crowley.
Independently wealthy people have the money to do stuff like this. Instead of creating a machine to destroy a holiday that's mostly just for children and people who want to dress up like slutty Bob Ross, you're going to take that from them when you could take that money and create a machine that, like, I don't know, cures cancer, restores sight to the blind, and movement to the cripple. Well, that's not the right word. I don't know, paraplegic, whatever. Cripple's funnier, but Gimp is funniest.
All systems are go.
Take this, Halloween! Not good for you, Don't like jack-o'-lanterns. I say pumpkin.
Yeah, we know. We saw you smash one earlier. You created your own supervillain in that moment. Little did you know.
Smile, smash and bash and crash them from the east side to the Nile.
Dude, there's a ton of pumpkins behind you. Either give her a new one or, like, she could ask for a new one. Like, why she gotta be like that? She literally saw the laser come. That's why she ducked down. Like, she can't pretend like she didn't see something just come and eliminate all those jack-o'-lanterns. This is probably Brayley's mom. Entitled bitch.
We'll have no trick-or-treating, not tonight. Get rid of those clothes, that candy.
Did you just tell children to get rid of their clothes?
Right to jail.
This episode really is turning into something. I'm not monetized yet, but I probably will never be if I keep talking about pedos at this rate. I'm hoping that if I say it the British way, YouTube won't flag me. Pedos.
You're really a sight. It's the electronic positronic.
How did he know that they had clothes under there? Like, for Mr. like morally, self-righteous, whatever, he didn't really seem to think about the fact that he might have just had a bunch of naked children running around in the street because of him. Because unlike Slimer, human laws still apply to you because you're not dead. Like, what kid wears a full outfit under their Halloween costume? Most of these kids would either be in their underwear or completely butt naked. And this guy would spend the rest of life in jail and then spend eternity in hell flossing his teeth.
Anti-Halloween machine. And if you think I'm being mean, haha, say goodbye to scary stories. Say goodbye to haunted houses.
I just remembered, so Dave Coulier, the voice of Venkman, he dated Alanis Morissette back when she was younger, and she wrote that song, that angry song, where she's like, you I don't know of the mess you made, something. The whole song is like an anthem of pure rage and like just spilling the tea. Before the kids were talking about spilling tea, Alanis was making the kettle. She put it on the stove. She was preparing it. She aired that shit. She aired that dirty laundry. And then we find out later that the song was about Dave Coulier. Like, really? You gonna be sad about Uncle Not Jesse on Full House? I say that because I don't remember what his name was. Because I know he would say, like, cut it out. What was his name? What was his name? Joey. Uncle Joey.
Goodbye to Irving, Vernon Poe. Goodbye Dickens, Shelley, and Wall.
I don't know all those authors, but he was talking about, like, goodbye Poe, goodbye Shelley. That makes sense. I think Irving, he wrote, was it Sleepy Hollow? But why Dickens? What did Dickens ever do to you? Except write stories about poor people and Christmas. and poor people at Christmas and children, gimpy children.
Goodbye, Mr. Blackberry. Try not to take it personally.
Some of those kids were in their underwear. That must have been so humiliating for them. Again, this guy is creating a bunch of supervillains left and right because these kids are going to be humiliated, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to join forces with Trash Man and whatever the little ghost boy from earlier, the trick-or-treater, and then they're all going to team up against Breadloaf, and he's not going to like it so much. And then he's going to wish Halloween was on his side to have his back. But no, he destroyed it with his space laser. Wait, I feel like space lasers... My friend told me that there's something racist or like anti-Semitic about it. I'm not trying to pull a Kanye here. His anti-Halloween laser.
Quiet as a test tube, eh, Fairweather? Fairweather? What the? What is it? What's happening? What?
Karma, I think. We'll see.
Happening?
Just what we were hoping for.
That is, like, for a kid's show, that's scary. That's some, like, Indiana Jones face melting shit. Which also scared me as a kid.
Oh, why are you tormenting me? You worked for me, remember? No.
Yeah, that's all the more reason to torment you. You're a shitty employer. You're trying to destroy Halloween. Probably whatever he is. Like, I think he took that personally.
We used you and your machine. It was easy preying on people's fears. We needed a mortal to open the door to the other side, and you were the one.
You're the chosen one, Breadloaf. You're a wizard, Breadloaf. Now, he'd probably be upset if he found out he was a wizard. He'd be like, wizards! Devil's shit! I don't deal with it!
You forgot the first rule of fanatics. When you become obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy.
This show's based. Like, when you become obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy. I know it sounds so, like, simple, but it really is something I feel like so many people right now have lost sight of. So we're only hearing perspectives and the news filtered through the lens of people who already think like us. I've definitely seen a lot of people become what they hated. Like, in an effort to right wrongs or to, care about marginalized people or to, advocate for them or be a voice, they've now decided to shout over people. Like, a lot of people start out with good intentions, a lot of these like uber religious parents were just trying to protect their kids from what they thought were bad influences. A lot of social justice warriors started out being like, I want to help people. They were empathetic and they were like, I want, to help people feel represented and seen and have a voice. And then they got lost along their way and became the supervillain that they hated. They became the intolerant bigot. So you have like, on one hand, you have like these uber woke people running around, being like fascists. But then on the other hand, you have people who are like, wokeness and whatever, which I agree. Identity politics, to me, are dehumanizing. They don't see people as like an individual. They see them as groups and categories and boxes to be checked, and I'm not about that. I like seeing people as like a unique person, and instead of being like, oh well, men are this way, women are this way, I might make jokes about it, like jokes on stereotypes, but like woke and anti-woke are kind of doing similar things where they're dehumanizing the other side and they're letting them live rent-free in their head. All that to say, when you become a zealot for any cause, even if it's a good cause, even if it makes sense, just make sure that you're not becoming the thing you hate. If you're upset about one group saying they're closed-minded or judgmental, make sure you're not becoming closed-minded and judgmental yourself. This is not really like profound wisdom. It all kind of makes sense, but for some reason it seems like a lot of people don't like practice it. So I feel like they need to be reminded, or maybe they don't care. It's possible.
Back off, creeps!
Thank goodness you showed up! Those things, they're everywhere!
Believe me, we know.
Now, I know that guy looked scary, but he might have been, a father of two. He might have been, he might have coached the neighborhood, volunteer coached the neighborhood t-ball team, gave free oil changes to single mothers just out of the goodness of his heart, and you just deprived his whole community of him. I hope you're happy, Ray.
Well, isn't there anything we can do?
She was a little sassy about that. Like, they just saved her dumbass who ran down a hall that specifically says in big letters, dead end. And now she's just like, is there anything we can do? Idiot. like, bitch, I can turn your ass back over to the ghosts. See how much you like that. Who knows? She might be like Kesha and find out she's into it. Did you ever hear about that? Where Kesha talked about how one time she had sex with a ghost in her hotel room or something? I don't know. She was like sleeping and then she felt it like touching her. And then she's just like, all right. I believe it. I don't necessarily know if I believe that the ghost was doing it, but I believe that she would fuck a ghost. She seems kinky enough. Wake up in the morning, feel a ghost on my titty. I can't think of anything on the spot. I thought that was gonna be lit if I actually had talent. What rhymes with titty? Wake up in the morning with a hand on my titty. I look down and I see it's the ghost of a kitty. And then the kitty's attached to a person and the person's the one I fucked, not the cat. All right, I'll stick to making reaction videos on YouTube. I'm not a songwriter.
I'm saying we're doomed. That counts.
Jesus.
Still, we can't just give up.
Did Ray just commit a drive-by? Just rolling around with his homies with the window down, just like blop blop blop. The ghosts are like, don't leave your house after dark, son. You're gonna the Ghostbusters are gonna come around and bust a cap in your ass. That didn't sound as clever as it could have.
What's that?
My boss and yours.
Upper management.
We've hit the big time. It's always good and we're feeling.
So this is the musical episode. Or were they all like this? Was all the Real Ghostbusters music based? I don't think it was, probably. This is a Halloween special, so. I always liked how on old shows, old cartoons, you could always break the formula of that show just for the Halloween special. Sometimes for the Christmas special, but I feel like the Halloween episode, they always got to do something a little different, which I liked.
It's all gonna change now. The Boogaloo is back in town.
The Boogaloo is back in town? What is a Boogaloo? Because I know of it from, I don't even know what the original one was, but I know the joke is like, whenever you're talking about something to Electric Boogaloo, But even then, I don't really know what it is in that context. And the only other reference I know of is like the Boogaloo Boys, which, again, I haven't really researched much about them. And I don't really know what they stand for, because I know I've seen like, the media be like, oh, they're a hate group. But then I've seen pictures of them like, hand in hand with like, BLM protesters or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a dog in this fight. The reason I bring it up is because back in 2020, when the riots were happening in Atlanta, I was hanging out at my friend's house for like a really small birthday get together. And we were just sitting there, and then suddenly his roommate comes out and she like kicks open the door. She's like, everybody's gotta go. Birthday's canceled. It's a race war. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, the Boogaloo Boys are running wild. First of all, I don't think there were any of them in Atlanta. I think that was our own people burning down like the CNN building, which, burn it down. I don't care. I don't like CNN. But like, what? Birthday's canceled. Race war. Boogaloo. I'm like, again, I don't know what they are. I just like the name, and I like the Hawaiian t-shirts. And I like an excuse to use this clip.
Come on, Bill! Race war! What do you mean? Did we always talk about wanting to do that?
R.I.P. Trevor. This, I'm sure I'm reading way too much into this. The hair on this thing, and like the mouth, look a little bit like some old school minstrel caricatures from back in the day. I'm sure that wasn't their intention, but that's all I can see. And now I'm like, oh, maybe the writers called it Boogaloo for a reason. They're just all sitting in the writer's room with their Hawaiian shirts and their tiki torches. I don't think that was the same group who did the tiki torches. They ruined tiki torches for the rest of us. Now we just have to sit at our luau's in darkness.
And if it stands,
Boogaloo's a libertarian. Crush the Fed. Fuck the government. Fuck this train.
people still forget it. But thanks for all of your...
The song's a little long, but then again, it could just because I keep pausing. But I'm gonna look up what Boogaloo means while he plays.
Hold on.
Okay, so Boogaloo is a modern dance to rock and roll music performed with swiveling and shuffling movements of the body, originally popular in the 1960s. But also, it says Boogaloo refers to a loosely organized extremist movement that supports a Second American Civil War, which they also refer to as a Boogaloo. That sounds like a delightful name for a war, though. Like, it's a little engaging in a little boogaloo. A little shimmy shake. Adherents of the movement known as the Boogaloo Boys, or boys, like B-O-I-S, so like bois. My friend has a band called the Brunch Bois. Hold far-right, pro-gun, violently anti-government, and in many cases racist beliefs. So essentially me. I'm not far-right, but I'm pro-gun, and I'm anti-government, and I'm obviously very much racist. They very well could have racist beliefs, but it's just always funny to me when they're like, and also probably many racist beliefs. Like, all right. Again, somebody's going to clip this and be like, she is a far-right, extremist, anti-government, pro-gun, degenerate is the word you're looking for.
Boogaloo, Boogaloo's back in town.
And then somewhere you have my friend's roommate kicking down a door in this city, being like, the Boogaloo is coming! Race war! A Boogaloo! It's a delightful name for a race war, I swear. And when they say a second American Civil War, are they saying, like, between, like, are they enslaving black people again? Because I'm not really down for that. Like, I'd probably end up in the House, so I might be all right, but, like, ultimately it's not something I think I'd be a big fan of. But if they're talking about, like, splitting up the states or something, or like seceding from the Union. I live in Georgia. I don't want you to run Georgia like you run California. And I'm sure California doesn't want to be run like Georgia. So like, leave everybody alone. Leave Georgia alone.
Do not go outside. We are now in charge. The Halloween deal has been broken. So now we're back to stay.
Oh.
You really should stand 10 feet back when you watch TV.
Wait a minute.
Also, what is the Halloween deal? I guess I'll probably explain. Never mind. Ignore me.
Mentioned something about a Halloween deal, right?
Yes. 2,000 years ago, the Earth was infested by demons, but the druids struck a deal. The worst of the demons would go off to the netherworld on one condition.
Let me guess. They wanted us to remember them.
Exactly.
So it's like a Dia de los Muertos, but for horrific demons and abominations from hell. Maybe Halloween is a little bit satanic. Put a picture of Beelzebub on your ofrenda.
But now Halloween is gone. You saw how he made everything to do with Halloween just vanish.
Yeah,
Reminds me of that quote, bend over and take it up the tailpipe. I'm mature.
If we don't restore Halloween and send these creatures back where they came from before midnight, the contract is broken permanently. Then we'll never get rid of them.
What time is it now?
11:30.
Oh.
You would have hoped they would have like put this together sooner. Well, I guess he didn't announce that the Halloween deal had been broken until now. And also, I don't know how long that song number, dance number, whatever. I don't know how long that was. Like maybe the Boogaloo arrived at like 11:15, sang for a long time, did a lot of exposition through music, and then 11:30 he's like, oh, by the way, this is our plan, and now you don't have enough time to do anything about it. Sorry. Which is honestly, if I was a supervillain, that's how I would do my plans. I just wouldn't give them time to prepare. Sneak attack. You gotta take them by the element of surprise. Just.
Then wouldn't they want to break out all their buddies? The containment system!
Janine!
Nobody gets past us!
I like that she's competent here. I mean, she was competent in the original. So that was one of, well, I mean, there were many complaints about the Lady Ghostbuster reboot. I actually didn't hate it. I saw it in theaters. It was fine. But they had the problem that a lot of modern movies have where, like, the women are the only ones who are allowed to be smart and the dudes have to be stupid or incompetent or assholes. So the bad guy was an asshole. I guess bad guys are usually assholes, so that's not strange. One of my biggest problems, though, was I like Chris Hemsworth. I think he's funny. I really enjoy watching him. But in this movie, he played like their receptionist or their secretary, but they made him like too stupid to live. There's a scene where they're like, don't listen. And so he covers his eyes. Or maybe he does the opposite. Maybe it's like, don't look, and he covers his ears. I don't know. But like, no, that guy would not have made it to adulthood. In Sparta, he would have been like, thrown off the mountain. He would have been like kicked into a volcano. No. Janine in the original was smart. She was whip smart.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
So was Sigourney Weaver. Like, the women in the original Ghostbusters were badass, too. Like, it wasn't like the men were all competent and the women were idiot bimbos. It's like, no. They all knew their shit. And they were funny and integral to the story.
There is no Dana, only Sue.
There is no Amanda. Only gross mental incompetence. I wonder how stupid I would have to be to get a handicap plaque. Like, is that only for physical disabilities? Or, like, if I'm deemed as, like, below functional levels, can I can I park closer at Applebee's? These are the important questions inquiring minds want to know. To me, it felt like they thought they were doing this like own on, I don't know who, like the fans or the previous version or the patriarchy or whatever, but they were saying like, oh, see, this is how women are treated. So when we flip the genders, the guy's going to be the bimbo, you know, the himbo. First of all, I learned that the term bimbo was originally applied to men. I need to double check that. But yeah, okay. So the word bimbo derives from the Italian bimbo. I guess that's my attempt at Italian pronunciation. A masculine gender term that means male baby or young male child. Use of this term began in the United States as early as 1919 and was a slang word used to describe an unintelligent or brutish man. So technically, we don't need the term himbo because bimbo already covered it. Interesting. So now we've come full circle. Janine was capable and competent, like Sigourney Weaver's character, Dana. And so it's like, what were you trying to say? I'm not knocking on this version because, you know, it was women or whatever. I do think the politics behind why they made it all female was a little bit annoying because they were trying to like, it felt like a statement they were trying to make as opposed to just like, is this the best for the story? I'm a woman. Like, I want to be in things too. So like, I'm not against inclusion or representation, but the way they did it was like an own to nobody. You made the woman be the ditzy bimbo in the original, so now it's your turn to see how you like it when a guy is that. I'm like, but she wasn't that. So what point are you making here? Other than you either didn't see the original or can't see evidences of actual like good female characters when they're slapping you in the face because you don't want to see it because you want to pretend like you're oppressed. I don't know. I'm going on a lot of tangents today. I need to get off my soapbox.
Okay, so the firehouse is gone, Ecto 1's been destroyed, we're out of ghost traps, and we've only got another 10 minutes of power left in our packs. Egon, you got a plan?
Wait, I thought the packs were like nuclear powered. I'm not a scientist or anything, but doesn't nuclear power like regenerate, or it doesn't just run out like a battery? I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb.
These things came through a door. We gotta find it and close it. Egon?
That way, the Times Square district. The place is crawling with them.
Then that's where we have to go.
You looking for me, flesh heads?
Help! Over here! I'm sorry I stole your PKE meter.
If we can get to the machine, we might be able to reverse it and restore Halloween.
Hey, Boogaloo! You're ugly and your mother dresses you funny.
It's not very nice. Your mother tries really hard. But you know, she works 2 jobs because your dad went for cigarettes and never came back. And your mother's colorblind, so she can't tell when your clothes match. And you're just doing the best you can. You know, each night you're eating a cold can of SpaghettiOs because sometimes she forgets to leave, food for you. But you don't mind because she means well. And this guy just like fucking dunked on her and all her hard work. Thanks, Venkman. Thank you, Alanis' douchey ex. Or who knows, Alanis might have been the douche. They might have both been douches. The douche in me recognizes the douche in you. This doesn't usually happen to me, I swear.
This has got to be it. Hit it!
Even if we had the time, I couldn't put it back together. Now we're doomed.
Ray?
Peter, what?
I can see your house from here. Oh.
It's very Marvel-esque writing there. Like, oh, let me not have stakes in this moment. About to get my spine crushed and my organs are about to get just obliterated, but let me make a mediocre joke. That feels like Uncle Joey. That's on brand.
Where's Egon?
Also, it's New York. Ray can't afford a house in New York. Not on a Ghostbuster budget. Or on anybody's budget. You can't afford things in New York. New York doesn't want you there. Ray probably lives in a trash can somewhere. You know what? That jack-o'-lantern might have been Ray's jack-o'-lantern. The one that was on the trash can earlier that the guy threw. Like maybe Ray, that was where Ray lives. And he shares it with like 3 roommates because it's New York. Unless, do they all live at the firehouse or do they just work there?
It's busted all right.
Ghostbusters! My name's Emma. I live next door.
No way. Look, it's dangerous out here.
Well, I'm not afraid.
That's not the point.
That's exactly the point.
Almost midnight. In 2 minutes, the promise humans made to honor Halloween will be forever broken, and we'll be here to stay.
You forgot a little something. We have one last weapon.
We're gonna launch this little girl at you. This barefoot child. Is she barefoot? Why are you barefoot? See, this is the child whose mother also dresses her. The mother who also feeds her child cold SpaghettiOs. I was about to say Piscattios. I swear I'm not that stupid. She feeds her kid cold SpaghettiOs because it's all she can afford after her husband left. Why is it always the husbands? You know, okay, so in this scenario, let's say the mom left. Let's say the mom was like a junkie and she left. And now it's like the single dad who is sticking around trying to make it work. And the fact that he can do her hair and get her dressed, like 90% dressed, you know, it's commendable. He forgot her shoes, let her walk out into like a Holocaust or like a nuclear apocalypse or whatever. Nuclear Holocaust. And he's like not watching her. You kind of lose some dad points there. Who knows? He might be dead. Maybe that's why he's not watching her. Maybe he died, you know, when these demons like, I don't know, the Boogaloo like stepped on his building or something. And this kid doesn't fully understand what happened yet. So she's still got a smile on her face. And it's not till years later that she's going to like come to terms with what happened this night. And it's going to take years for her to rebuild herself and her trust in humanity.
A child? And what do you want?
Trick or treat. You're funny.
What's wrong with you? Aren't you afraid of me?
Nope.
Halloween is more than pumpkins, black cats, and trick-or-treating. It's about kids rediscovering wonder.
And slutty George Lucas costumes. I will say, I actually want to, and I did this on my Halloween episode the other day on my live stream, but I just want to advocate for slutty Halloween costumes, because for so long, I was that like annoying tomboy who also was like, I'm too good for that. Real girls don't need to be slutty on Halloween. And now I'm like, you know what? Let people live. Let people, like, why would you want to take away slutty Halloween costumes from the world? Why would you want to take away that eye candy? It's the one day people can, you know, if you're an accountant, you can dress up like a dominatrix or whatever. Well, I mean, you could dress up like a dominatrix any day of the year if you want, if you're a dominatrix. I guess you can do it if you're not a dominatrix. It's just weird and probably misleading, and people might assume you have skills that you don't possess. Because I've been seeing it a lot in my feed lately. I see 2 kinds of things from girls. It's always girls. Other girls on Halloween, and then they'll show like some traditional slutty like bumblebee costume, and then they'll cut to them being like, me on Halloween, and it'll be like them dressed up as like, you know, a croc. Just wear your costume and shut the fuck up. Let them wear their costume. You wear your costume. Guys will probably want to fuck you either way. Like, calm down. And then the other kind of trope I'm seeing a lot on social media is like other people, you know, basic bitches. And it'll show like, I don't know, it'll show like, you know, normal people. Oh, I love being a basic bitch. Golly williker. Then it'll cut to them being like, spooky. I like pumpkins and witchcraft, and I'm just so unique and special and interesting because Halloween's my favorite holiday. But you guys don't get it because you don't like Halloween. It's like, bitch, everybody likes Halloween. Halloween's fucking fun. When you're a kid, you like Halloween because you get to go around and get free candy. And when you're an adult, you go around to get free candy too. They don't give it to you as much, which I think is also bullshit. I'm just going on a bunch of Halloween tangents. But I will say, if an adult takes the time to dress up, you know, whether to buy a costume or make a costume, I'm going to give them candy. That sounds a little, slightly accurate. That makes it sound like I'm, like, jumping, like, cosplayers' bones. No. To me, I'm like, if you dress up in a costume, sure, I'll give you candy. So if you ever come to my house and you got your kid with you, but you're also dressed up, you're all getting candy. And you're getting the good stuff, too. You're not getting fucking, is it Mars bars? Or like Three Musketeers, which are like the Snickers without everything that makes a Snickers good. It's got the chocolate, but it doesn't have the caramel. It doesn't have the nuts. It doesn't have the balls to be a Snickers. A Mars bar is just a beta Snickers. changed my mind. You're not going to get Mr. Goodbar or Crackle or like all the filler candies that they give you in those bags, where sometimes you'll get like some Reese's, some like real candies, like brand name A-lister candies, and then the rest of the bag will be like all the other candies that the factory's trying to get rid of. And you're sure as hell not going to get candy corn, because I'm going to be hoarding that for myself. Just pumping it into my veins. Give me diabetes, Daddy.
That's why we play monsters, so we won't be afraid of monsters anymore. We take back the night once a year because it belongs to the children.
Fuck the children. Well, no, not unless you're a ghost. Then apparently that's legal. Halloween's for spooky shit. Halloween's for me. Halloween was made for you and me.
If you're not afraid, it can't hurt you.
I mean, you can still not be afraid of a speeding train. But if you step on that track, I don't care how courageous you think you are. I don't have anything clever to say. Just you're gonna get hit by a train, and it will hurt you.
Don't look in stores or pumpkin fields or bags of candy. Look right here.
Tell me a Halloween story.
A Halloween story? Is that like, once upon a time, Jeffrey Dahmer? What if this child actually isn't afraid because she's just a sociopath and she doesn't feel fear? I'm not afraid. I skin squirrels in my yard for fun. And then I let them live so I can keep doing it to them later. Yay! Also completely random, but my friend's cat goes after squirrels. Her cats will always eat the squirrel's nuts first. I don't know if it's like a delicacy or if it's just like a way to kind of shit on their grave and just establish dominance. It's like, hey, I'm gonna eat your nuts now. Could you imagine somebody like using that as a threat? Suck my dick or I'm gonna punch you in the balls. It's like, I'm gonna eat your nuts. Like, what would you do if you were like in an alley and you had like a switchblade on somebody and they just said, I'm gonna eat your nuts? You wouldn't be so confident about your course of action then, would you? It might give you pause, and it gives them enough time to get away. Maybe her dad is dead, but maybe he didn't die from the Boogaloo. Maybe, he's in her freezer. And that's why she has no shoes on, because she had to get rid of the blood splatter. I think we're onto something.
Halloween's still here, alive and well. As we like to say here in the Big Apple, beat it, slimehead.
Do you? Is that a common New Yorker saying?
What happened? It's 8 o'clock. We got the evening back.
Hey, I gotta go because my dad's taking me trick-or-treating.
And then I'm gonna slit his throat while he sleeps. Yay! I'm gonna steal his candy too!
Well, I guess we earned the right to do it all over again. And we're gonna do it right this time, aren't we, Mr. Crowley?
None of this was my fault at all. It just proves my point. And I'll try again. And next time I'll... Ah! Yeah!
Where did he get that? They literally just killed that guy. So it can't have been like they mass produced a bunch of masks and sent them, and sold them at like Spirit Halloween. Most likely the actual severed head of the Boogaloo. And Slimer just hollowed it out and just put it on his own head like a fucking madman. And there was that horrible like squish noise. Now, do you think that squish noise was because Slimer's naturally, he's slimy, he's naturally squishy? Or do you think that slime noise was because it was freshly, like, bloodied?
The perfect beginning to the perfect night, eh, guys? Yeah, Winston, you got that right. So, who's up for a little trick-or-treating? We've already got the costume.
Yeah, you got it.
Go away. Marcia Goodman directed this one too. She also directed the Rainbow Bright one I just watched last week. That was cool. It was nice to see all the Ghostbusters, still maintain their personalities, and Winston got a little more screen time and got to make all the ladies' panties wet with his little dance number. The episode had a lot of like really profound observations, like societal commentary, social commentary about fear and extremes and how to not let things consume you and minding your own fucking business. It's like if somebody else is doing something and it's not hurting you, leave them the fuck alone. Let people enjoy things. Let people enjoy Halloween. Let people enjoy their slutty alpaca costume and just live your life. Just a thought. Now I'm realizing that I might have been not centered in my camera that whole time. So there's a chance that half the time my face might have been behind the screen, but it's because I can't see my screen when I'm recording. I can only see the YouTube screen. But you're not here to see my face. You're here to... I don't know why you're here. Reevaluate your life decisions. But yeah, it was a fun continuation of, you know, if you grew up watching those characters. I mean, I don't know if the rest of the show's good, but that special was entertaining. And all the different characters got to shine. Although Venkman was a little annoying. I don't know if that was just the writing or if that was Dave Coulier or whatever. Please like and comment and subscribe and all that typical YouTuber shit. Happy Halloween. That was dumb.